Hello! In today's video, we're going to work on a solo high G ukulele instrumental arrangement of Spanish Romance. This was actually decided on by my community on Patreon. Every month we do a vote based on suggestions of patrons for what the lesson should be, and this month's winner was this amazing tune. So I gave it some thought of why I thought that this won this month. What about this tune is so special? And I think what it is that it's an absolutely beautiful melody that's played effortlessly on the guitar. So when I was doing this arrangement on the ukulele, I tried to make sure I captured a lot of those elements that I think make this such a special melody. And I did that by using a lot of melody on the A string, going way up and down the fret, all the way to fret 15 and back down, while also using a lot of open strings for the harmony. What this does is it creates a really nice opportunity for richness with multiple octaves being spanned on the ukulele, but it's still relatively simple to approach because of all of the open strings. Now, tone and note articulation are the most important things to work on with this tune. So if you're at a place in your ukulele journey where you want to be jumping up and down the fretboard, working on tone and control with a fingerstyle classical tune, then I think you're in the right place. Let's go ahead and dive in and start with the first melody of this, which we're going to call the minor melody. And we call it this very simply because it starts in C minor. And it's going to look something like this as I bring the camera down. What you'll see here is that we're going to start with the 10 on the A string. To play this, I like to use my ring finger here. And so that you can get the gist of how this sounds, here's what these first 4 measures sound like. Really nice, right? It's really straightforward though too. You're just going to be fretting your A string. I like to start with my ring finger here on the 10th fret of the A string. I'm going to pluck that. And what I'm going to pluck that with, I'm using my middle finger here. And personally, I like using the middle finger here because it gives me a really nice clarity on that note. And then I'm going to use my thumb on the G string, open, and my index finger here on the C string, open. If this is kind of awkward for you because it kind of separates the fingers, it's okay to use 4-finger picking too. I just, again, like the middle finger for that melody to really give it good articulation. And so the first measure is just that repeated. And then the second measure is really quite straightforward. We're going to play the 10, and then we're going to slide it down to 8, and then we're going to slide it down to 6. And I like to slide it down here with the ring finger because it gives you this really nice legato sound. Legato means that we're sort of smoothing the notes together, tying them together a little bit. And it's not choppy, but rather really smooth. And I get that by just maintaining the pressure with the ring finger here as I move down. As I go into the third measure, I'm going to pluck on the A string there with the G and C, same sort of filler. Then I'm going to go to 5. I can use my ring finger just sliding down if I want. The index finger can go here to 3. I like using the index finger here because after I've done that, it's going to play it again. I'm going to slide that index up to 6 and then all the way up to 10. And I'm going to use my index to slide all the way up to that 10th fret. So this whole little run of the first 4 measures should sound something like this. Now from here we go on to measures 5, 6, 7, and 8, and they should sound something like this as you go through. Now this is pretty tricky because we're way up there on the fretboard. We're going all the way to the 15th fret. Ideally, you would play this 15th fret with your pinky on your fretting hand. Now I say ideally because the pinky can struggle to get a good tone all the way up there. It can be a little thuddy and dead. One trick is to make sure that you're pressing right up into that fret wire but not going over it. So the fret wire stops right there, so I want to make sure I'm going right into that and then stopping, not coming over at all, or that'll create a thuddy sound. And I want to be very direct with it, and I don't want to push too hard. I want to push just hard enough to get that crystal clear sound. Now, if you're really struggling with the pinky here, totally fine to use your ring finger. A lot of people find that easier to set up, but I like using the pinky both for an exercise standpoint and because after I play this 15 and then do the G, C, 15, G, C, 15, G, C, very straightforward measure on 5. Then I play 15, and then I go down to 13. And what I like to do for going down 13 is I like to go with my pinky down to 13, and then I go down to 11, and I use my pinky down to 11. Because now the next thing here on measure 7 sets up our first chord using closed strings. To this point, we've been all open. We're going to take our index finger and just bar it across the 8th fret of the C, E, and A strings, leaving our pinky here on 11, and then we're going to pluck the 11 on the A, and then the C, and then the E, which are both on 8, and then we take our pinky away, add our 10 here with our ring finger, C and then E, then we take that away, having the bar there, 8, followed by the C and E still on fret 8. Going right into the next bar here too, it's going to be just back up the way we came. So it goes 11, 10, 8, and then 8, 10, 11. Now I like to use my pinky for all this so that I can just set all of this up, right? By using the pinky on 15, I then slide it down to 13, slide it down to 11, add this finger. If you need to use your ring finger, you can do the same sort of thing. Just know that's a little bit of a stretch here, and it's okay to flip-flop the fingers, whatever works best for you to make sure you're getting a good tone, although this is a great exercise for some pinky strengthening if you need it. So measures 5, 6, 7, and 8 should sound and look something like this. One other quick tip is you'll notice that I play my G and C strings really softly with the 15 because 15 is hard to get a good articulation. So I quiet these fingers so that 15 rings. It's easy for that 0 and 0 to kind of boom, and we don't want that. So it sounds something like this. You'll notice at the end of measure 8, we just hold this 11 for a moment. Now, one other quick tip with this, you'll notice if you accidentally have hit your E string at all, it sounds awful. We're in the key of C minor. E is a C major note. So be very wary of that. And when you're plucking with your playing hand here, especially on the A string, if you're coming up, you can kind of nick that string a bit. So just make sure you're coming up and out as you do that. So it looks more like this, with no real risk of that E string being struck. But let's go ahead and go on now to measures 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that should sound something like this when we go through. Relatively straightforward bar. We're going to start here with 10 on the A string. I like to use my pinky finger. And I want to set up my index here on 7 of the E. I'm going to pluck the A, G, and then the E with 7 there. Then I move my pinky up 1 to 11. I'm going to do the same thing, only with 11. So 11, then G, E, which are still there on the 7. And then I'm going to go back down, 10, 0, 7. And then going on to the 10th measure here, I'm going to take this pinky, I'm going to slide it all the way up to fret 14. If you can hold the stretch here with 7, great. If not, don't worry about it. It's okay to take it off. Move up to that 14, play that 14 with open on the G. Play the open G nice and soft. You don't want that to boom over it. It creates this nice little harmony. And then we're going to play 11 and 10. The trick to this is play 11 with the middle finger and then 10 with the index finger. That sets up this nice little fretting habit where you can have the pinky at the highest point, index at the lowest point of that line. And then for the last two measures, we're going to play the 10 here with the index finger, followed by 0 on the G and 0 on the C. Slide it down to 8, 6. And then we're going to play the open G with the 6, slide down to 5, and then slide down to 3. So those last few notes, you'll see that it's just the index finger sliding all the way down. And so this is what measures 9, 10, 11, and 12 should look like, one of the more tricky sections of the song. Going on to the next set of measures, these are the final four measures of the minor melody, measures 13, 14, 15, and 16, and they should sound something like this. Compared to some of the earlier ones, they are quite simple. So the way we play this is, if you remember at the end of 12, we played the 3 on the A. Now we're going up to 5 on the A. Just slide that index finger up to the 5th fret. Then take your ring finger and add it on the 7th fret of the E string, and go ahead and play your A, G, E, and repeat that 3 times. And then we're going to play the A and G together, still in this same holding pattern. Then take the middle finger, add it on 6 of the A, then take it off. And then we go to measure 15. We're going to go to this C minor chord. It's actually technically a C5, which just means it has no third. And the way we do that is the index finger bars across the 3rd fret on the E and A strings. And then we're going to play 3 on the A, and then the G, C, A, G, C, A, G, C, and then strum through all 4 strings for measure 16. And so this is what measures 13, 14, 15, and 16 sound like to kind of sum up that minor melody. And now bringing the camera back up to me, that is the minor melody of Spanish Romance. And at the end of this video, we'll talk about how we put these sections together and how you can order them in different ways. But this is sort of the first half of the tune. And from here, we go on to the major melody. Now, a quick note, the reason why I chose this key to do this tune is because of the relationship that the major and minor melodies have with one another. C major is a really nice key to play this with on the ukulele because we get to use our G and C strings open a lot on the minor melody. And with the major melody, we're going to introduce that E. And if you remember, I told you that E sounds terrible in the minor melody. Well, it sounds wonderful in the major melody because of the identity change that sort of happens within this song. And so let's go ahead and take a look now at the major melody. And I'm going to bring the camera back down. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first 4 measures, measures 17, 18, 19, and 20. And these measures are going to sound something like this, which I think are quite fun to play. So the way that we play this is we start with our ring finger here on the 7th fret of the A string. We're going to pluck the C and A together, open on the C, and then we're going to do G and E both open. Nice C major chord going through, and we're going to do that 3 times. But what we do is we only play the C string with the 7 on the first one. So it goes 0 and 7 together, and then G, E, then just the 7. Just the 7. Going into measure 18, we're going to play the 0 and 7 together again. And then take this ring finger and slide it down to 5. I know it can be tempting to use your index finger. In fact, I did that on the little playthrough right there, but you'll notice I had to flip-flop because of it. Use the ring, slide it down to 5. And then use the ring and slide it down to 3. And the reason for that is because here at 19, this G7, what we do is we take the middle finger and place it here on the second fret of the C string, and the index finger here on the first fret of the E string. We're going to pluck our C and A together. And then we're going to play the G, E, then the A string, just move down this ring finger 1 to the 2, so it's a true G7. Pluck that. G, E, A, G, E. Pretty easy measure after that little movement. And then measure 20, we're going to pluck the C and A together both on 2. And then this is a little trick here. We got to play 1 on the A string. So to do this, have your index finger collapse and bar and kind of pivot your hand more straight up and down. So it's almost like a B flat chord, and play just that 1 on the A. And then put the ring finger back on for 2. And so this is what that major melody, the first 4 bars, should sound like, something like this. Going into the next set of 4 bars, we're going to move way up the neck, and it's going to sound something like this. So to play this, what's cool is the first chord, well, you want to look at the last chord you played. Remember how we played a G7 a moment ago, right? To play this G9 chord that we're going to play at 21, take this shape and slide it all the way up so that your middle finger is all the way here on fret 11 of the C string. And your index should be here on 10 of the E, and this ring finger, we want to kick up 1 to 12 on the A. So you see how it's straight up and down. So we have 0, 11, 10, 12. And I'm going to pluck my C and A together. And then I'm going to do G, E, A, G, E, A, G, E. Same little picking pattern we've been using. And then for measure 22, holding this same chord shape, I'm going to play the C and A strings together. Then I'm going to add my pinky here to 14. And then I'm going to take it back off to 12. Then going into measure 23, I'm going to take my index and middle fingers off, leaving the ring finger here at 12. Play the C and A together with the C open, then the open G and open E. And then I'm going to slide this ring finger down to 10. And I'm going to play that again. And then I'm going to play open on the C with this 10. And I'm going to play 12 with the ring finger here. And then I'm going to play 14 with the pinky here. And that sums up those 4 bars. Now, it's okay to use that ring finger to slide up to 14 if you're really struggling with that pinky, just like I mentioned in the minor melody. It's more about getting good tone than anything else, although it is a good pinky exercise. So measures 21, 22, 23, and 24 should sound something like this. Going on here to measure 25, way up here at 15, it should sound something like this going through. And to learn how to play that, we're going to start here with the 15 with the pinky, or a ring if that's more comfortable. But again, good exercise. And all open with this. This is a cool C chord. It's an octave higher. Pretty neat. We're going to play the C and A together. And then G, E, A, G, E, A, G, E. Really important with this particular part to play these 3 open strings nice and soft. And really try to bring forward that 15 on the A string. Going into 16, we're going to play 0 on the C with the 15. Then we're going to go to 14. I like to slide the pinky down. Then 13, sliding the pinky down again. I know that sounds wrong in the moment, but what it's doing, it's creating this nice little tension to go into our F chord, which is what comes next. So get really comfortable with just playing that note with confidence, because then as you go to the next section, you'll see you're going to start with the 12 on the A string. Just slide that pinky down again. But in addition to that, we're going to take the middle finger, place it here on the 9th fret of the C string, and the index finger here on the 8th fret of the E, and bar it across on the E and A strings. So we have this sort of 0, 9, 8, 12 setup with the 8 over the E and A. I'm going to pluck my A string, and then C, E, A, C, E, A, C, E. And then for the last measure here on 28, I'm going to pluck the C and A together. Then play 10 with the ring finger on the A. And then play 8 on the A with the index there on the bar. So these four measures, measures 25, 26, 27, and 28, should sound something like this when played together. Going into the last four measures, pretty easy four measures. They're going to sound something like this. And to play these, all that you need to do is, if you remember, we just played that 0, 9, 8, 8. This index finger is right now barred across the 8th fret on the E and the A strings. We're just going to move that bar down 1 fret to 7, and we're going to take the middle finger off. And to play measure 29, all that we're going to do is pluck the A here at 7, open on the G, and 7 here on the E. And we're going to do that 3 times. Going into measure 30, we play open on the G with the 7 on the A. Add the middle finger here on 8 of the A. And then finally, the pinky finger is going to play here on 10 of the E. And the reason for that is because this 10, we can then kind of slide down as we go to measure 31 for a C chord with just our index finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. Pluck your C and A together, and then open on the G, open on the E, the A again, G, E, A, G, E, and then strum through to finish that sort of major melody section. So these last 4 bars should sound something like this. And there is the major melody. I'm going to bring the camera back up to me. So we have the minor melody, we have the major melody. The proper form for this song would be playing the minor melody, and then the minor melody again, and then the major melody, and then the minor melody one more time. If you think of the minor melody as melody A, and the major melody as melody B, it's sort of this A, B, A format, which is really popular in music. That being said, you can kind of do whatever you want with it. If you notice at the beginning of the tune, I just played the minor melody into the major melody, just so that you could hear each one of them. But I kind of like ending on the major melody. It's a little happier, but that's also why ending on the minor could be good too, right? So this is an absolutely beautiful melody. It's quite difficult on the ukulele to get really good tone up the neck, even though it's relatively simple to fret. So really spend time on getting that good tone and articulation. There's more information down linked below for other lessons that teach other techniques such as vibrato and finger picking technique and all that sort of different stuff. So check that out if you need extra help as you're learning this tune. But as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you again to all of my patrons over at Patreon. I couldn't do this stuff without all of you, and I would never have thought to do this tune without all of you suggesting this and voting on it to win this month's tutorial. I had a blast arranging it. It took me a long time to get the arrangement just right, and actually, if you're a patron, you can download this tab as well as my first draft of the tab. There's a post that talks a little bit more about it, but the arranging process here was kind of interesting for me because I did a rough draft really quickly, and I thought, oh, this is great, but it was really hard to play. So I prioritized playability and tone with this particular arrangement that we learned here today in this video. So as I mentioned before, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll look forward to seeing you all on the next lesson here. Stay tuned. Thanks so much.